Let me ask you something. What's the very first thing you drink in the morning? Maybe it's a hot cup of coffee. Maybe a sweet glass of orange juice. Or maybe nothing at all. Now, I want you to picture this. It's early morning, the house is quiet, the sun's just starting to peek through the curtains. You walk into the kitchen, still groggy, reach for that familiar mug or glass. You've done it for years, maybe even decades. It feels harmless, comforting, maybe even healthy. But here's the thing no one really talks about. That one small morning drink, just one sip, from something so ordinary, could be silently increasing your stroke risk. Not by a little. By 3 times. Yes, triple. And here's the truly scary part. Most people don't feel it happening. No warning. No pain. No dramatic sign. Until one day, something changes. A slurred word. A sudden fall. A confused look on your loved one's face. A trip to the hospital you never saw coming. And just like that, life is never quite the same. Now, I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to help you stop that moment before it ever happens. Because if you're over 60, or you care for someone who is, you need to hear this. You deserve to hear this. See, our brains are incredible. But as we age, the blood vessels that feed them, they get thinner, more fragile, less flexible. That means anything you drink in the morning, before your body has fully woken up, can have a huge impact. Blood pressure, hydration, inflammation, sugar levels. All of that starts with what's in your glass. And that morning routine you trust so much? It could be quietly overworking your heart, stressing your brain, or making your blood more likely to clot. Which is exactly how most strokes begin. Now, I've seen this firsthand. Families caught completely off guard. Seniors who thought they were doing everything right. Until the smallest mistake cost them their balance, their memory, even their independence. But here's the good news. Once you know better, you can do better. You can make changes, gentle, simple, doable ones, starting tomorrow morning. So here's what I'm going to share with you today. The number one drink mistake I see far too often, and why it's so risky for your brain. 3 safer drink choices that protect your blood vessels. A big myth about coffee that needs to be cleared up. Why dehydration is one of the sneakiest stroke risks, especially in seniors. And one simple habit you can build that gives your brain a stronger, safer start each morning. Stick around. Because the smallest thing, what's in your cup, could protect everything that matters most. And hey, I'd love to hear from you. Has someone in your family experienced a stroke or a scary close call? Your story could help someone else feel less alone. Scroll down and leave a comment. I always read them. And if you're new here, welcome to Senior Healing. This is a safe, gentle place where we talk about real health, real aging, and real solutions, always with care and always with science. If that sounds like something your heart and mind could use, tap subscribe so we can keep supporting each other. One step, one video, one healing habit at a time. Now take a breath. Let's dive in. 1. Starting the day with sugary fruit juice. Let's start with one of the most common and most misunderstood morning habits I see in older adults. Fruit juice. Now, on the surface, it sounds harmless, even healthy, right? You might think of orange juice as a little glass of sunshine, full of vitamin C, sweet and refreshing. Maybe you've been told for years it helps your immune system, gives you energy, and starts your day off right. But let me tell you a story. Mrs. Lila, she's 68, active, sharp-minded, and full of love for her grandkids. Every morning, she'd start her day with a tall glass of orange juice. She called it her morning boost. She never smoked, walked daily, even watched her salt. But one day during a routine checkup, her blood pressure was all over the place. Her fasting sugar was creeping up. And when I asked her about her mornings, That's when we realized what was going on. It wasn't just the juice. It was what that juice was doing to her brain, every single day. See, even 100% pure fruit juice is still liquid sugar once it enters your bloodstream. There's no fiber to slow it down, nothing to buffer it. So within minutes, it floods your body with glucose, triggering a sharp spike in your blood sugar. Now here's what most people don't know. That spike makes your blood vessels constrict. And in your brain, where those vessels are already more fragile as you age, that's a serious problem. It creates tiny moments of pressure, inflammation, and oxidative stress. Over time, those tiny moments can build up. And suddenly, you've got a clot, a bleed, or a blockage. That's a stroke. It doesn't matter if it came from an orange or a soda. Sugar doesn't care if it came from nature or not. It acts the same once it's in your blood. That's the myth we have to break. But it's natural, doctor. It must be good for me. I hear that so often. And I get it. But even nature, when it's concentrated, can become too much for a body that's already working harder to stay in balance. Especially after 60, when your insulin isn't as sharp and your blood vessels aren't as elastic. Now, I'm not telling you to never enjoy fruit again. Not at all. But instead of gulping down a full glass of juice first thing in the morning, try something gentler. Start your day with a glass of warm water. Maybe add a slice of lemon for flavor and a bit of vitamin C. Or better yet, eat the whole fruit. An orange. A handful of berries. A few slices of apple with some nuts. Why? Because whole fruit has fiber. And fiber acts like a brake pedal for sugar. It slows down digestion, reduces the spike, and helps protect your blood vessels. It's a small change, but for your brain, it could be a powerful one. Now, speaking of water, there's another common habit I see, and it's just as silent, just as serious. Many seniors are unknowingly making mistake number 2. One that starts before breakfast and affects everything from blood pressure to dizziness, and yes, stroke risk. Let's talk about it. 2. Skipping water first thing in the morning. Now, I want you to think about the very first thing you don't do when you wake up. Not what you reach for, but what you might be skipping, without even realizing how important it is. For a lot of people, the answer is simple. Water. Take Mr. Paul, for example. He's 73. Strong-willed. Lives alone. Very independent. One day he told me, "Doc, I'm not a water person. I don't wake up thirsty. I just go straight to my coffee." And you know what? That might sound pretty normal. In fact, it probably sounds like you, or someone you know. But what Mr. Paul didn't know is that by skipping water every morning, he was actually thickening his blood. Yes, literally. See, when you sleep, your body naturally loses water. Through your breath, through your skin, just from being alive and resting overnight. So by the time you wake up, your blood is already slightly thicker, more concentrated. And when you don't hydrate first thing, that blood keeps thickening. It moves more slowly through your arteries. And that sluggish flow increases the chances of a clot forming, especially in the brain. And what do clots lead to? Strokes. That's why mornings are the most common time for strokes to happen. The body's dehydrated. Blood pressure is rising. Stress hormones are starting to climb. And yet, we reach for coffee or juice before a single drop of water. Now, here's the catch, and this is especially true after 60. Your body's ability to feel thirst actually declines with age. So just because you don't feel thirsty, doesn't mean your body isn't needing water. That's the myth that catches so many seniors off guard. If I'm not thirsty, I must be fine. But the truth is, by the time you feel thirsty, you're often already mildly dehydrated, especially if you're taking blood pressure pills, diuretics, or certain heart medications. So here's the gentle fix. Start small. Keep a glass of water by your bedside. Even just a few sips when you first wake up, before coffee, before breakfast, before anything else. It signals to your body, let's flow. Let's protect. Let's wake up gently. Warm water is even better, easier on the system, kinder to digestion, and more likely to be absorbed right away. It's not a miracle cure, but it's one of the simplest habits you can build to keep your brain safe, your blood flowing, and your heart steady. Now, let's talk about coffee, because that's where things get tricky, and where a lot of well-meaning folks are unknowingly making mistake number 3. And this one might surprise you. 3. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach, too early, too fast. Now, let's talk about coffee. Coffee. That warm, familiar aroma. The comfort of that first sip. For many of us, it's the morning ritual we look forward to most. But what if I told you that how you drink your coffee, and when, could be quietly putting your brain and heart at risk? Let me tell you about Mrs. Jean. She's 70. A retired schoolteacher with a sharp wit and a heart of gold. For years, she'd wake up early, pour herself a hot cup of coffee, sit by the window, and watch the world wake up. But lately, she started noticing something. Her heart would race. Her hands would shake. She'd feel lightheaded and anxious, but only in the mornings. At first, she thought it was just part of getting older. But when we looked a little closer, the pattern became clear. Her first meal of the day wasn't a meal at all. It was coffee. No toast. No fruit. No protein. Just caffeine on an empty stomach. And here's what was happening in her body. Something that affects millions of seniors every single morning. When you drink coffee without eating anything first, your body reacts. Caffeine triggers the release of cortisol and adrenaline, your stress hormones. It's part of why coffee gives you that kick. It's literally putting your body on high alert. Now, if your stomach is empty, that surge of stress hormones goes straight into your bloodstream, unchecked. It raises your heart rate, spikes your blood pressure, constricts your blood vessels. And for someone over 60, especially someone already managing blood pressure or heart concerns, that's a dangerous way to start the day. See, the brain doesn't like sudden changes in blood flow. The heart doesn't like being startled awake. And your blood vessels, already more fragile with age, don't like to be squeezed and stretched before breakfast. This is why so many older adults feel jittery, dizzy, or even irritable after their first cup, but never think it's the coffee. Because the myth we've been sold is, coffee wakes me up, that means it's good for me, right? Well, not always. Waking up your mind is one thing. Shocking your nervous system is another. Now, I'm not here to take coffee away from you. I love a good cup myself. But what I am here to do is show you how to enjoy it in a way that supports your brain, your blood vessels, and your overall peace of mind. And the solution is actually very simple. Don't drink coffee alone. Not socially, I mean nutritionally. Even just a few bites of food can soften the impact. A boiled egg. A small bowl of oatmeal. A piece of toast with peanut butter. Something with protein or healthy fat to buffer that cortisol spike. Because when your body has fuel, it doesn't treat coffee like an emergency. It treats it like a companion, not a warning signal. And over time, that small change can mean a calmer heart, a steadier morning, and a safer, more protected brain. If this is helpful so far, if it's making you think about your own habits or someone you love, I want you to know, you're not alone. Here on Senior Healing, we talk about real things. Every week. In a way that's simple, kind, and backed by good science, without the fear, and without the pressure. If that speaks to you, go ahead and subscribe. We're building a thoughtful space here, and we'd truly love to have you be part of it. Now, let's keep going. Because there's another drink that's becoming more popular, especially among seniors trying to stay energized or fit. But when it comes to stroke risk, it may be doing far more harm than good. Mistake number 4. Energy drinks and pre-workout drinks after age 60. Because while some morning habits feel traditional, like coffee or juice, others feel more modern. And one that's been gaining popularity, especially among seniors trying to stay active, is this one. Energy drinks, or what some people call pre-workout drinks. At first glance, they seem promising, a boost of energy, a little mental clarity, maybe a push to help you get through that morning walk or workout. But here's a story that might sound familiar. Robert is 65. He's sharp, motivated, and trying to stay in shape. He told me, "Doc, I've been feeling sluggish in the mornings. So I started using this energy drink before my walks. Says it's heart healthy. Gives me a kick." He even laughed and said it made him feel like he was in his 40s again. But not long after he started the habit, Robert began noticing odd symptoms. His heart would pound, not just during his walk, but before it even began. He'd feel jittery, light-headed, sometimes anxious or flushed. And once, his blood pressure went so high, he had to sit down halfway through his walk. So we looked at the label together. And here's what we found. Caffeine, nearly twice the amount in a regular cup of coffee. Added sugar, in amounts that could rival a soda. And stimulants, ingredients with names like yohimbine, guarana, and synephrine, designed to speed up the heart and force energy into the body. Now let me ask you something. If you're over 60, do you really want to force your body to do something it's not ready for? Because that's exactly what these drinks are doing. They push your nervous system, they don't support it. They shock your heart and blood vessels, they don't care for them. And biologically, here's what that looks like. These drinks cause your blood pressure to spike, sometimes within minutes. They can raise your heart rate to unsafe levels. They tighten your blood vessels, including the delicate ones that supply oxygen to your brain. And they can even throw off your body's rhythm, literally altering your heartbeat. Now, for someone younger, with a strong cardiovascular system, the risks might be smaller. But for someone over 60, especially if you have hypertension, arrhythmia, or even mild heart issues, these effects can be downright dangerous. And don't be fooled by the shiny labels that say, heart healthy, or clinically tested. Because let me be honest with you. Marketing is not medicine. Just because something's sold in a health store doesn't mean it's healthy. Just because the label says natural doesn't mean it's safe. Your heart doesn't read labels. Your brain doesn't care about buzzwords. They respond to chemistry, and stimulants are still stimulants, no matter how pretty the bottle looks. So what's the better path? Start by asking a deeper question. Why are you feeling tired in the morning? Because low energy is not just a caffeine problem, it's a signal. Maybe it's your sleep quality. Maybe your iron is low. Maybe your body's not getting enough B12, or you're waking up dehydrated, or not eating enough protein. The solution isn't to throw more stimulants at your body. It's to listen to what it's asking for. Hydration, rest, nutrients, gentle movement. That's how you build true energy, not just borrow it. If you want a healthy morning ritual, try this. Start your day with a glass of water. Do a few minutes of stretching or light movement. Eat something real, something with color, fiber, and life in it. And if you still feel tired, talk to your doctor. Not the label on a can. Because there's something I believe with all my heart. Energy should come from care, not from chemicals. No. There's one more morning drink habit I want to show you. It's not flashy. It doesn't come in a colorful can. In fact, it hides in plain sight. And yet, it's caused more harm than many people realize. 5. Morning alcohol or nightcap leftovers. Now, this next one. It's tender. and maybe even a little uncomfortable to talk about. But we need to talk about it, because silence has never protected anyone. Let's talk about alcohol in the morning. Not in the way we might picture it, not slurred speech or obvious intoxication, but in subtle ways, quiet ways, ways that happen behind closed doors and closed curtains. I once spoke with a man named Harold, 66 years old, widowed, independent, a man who still did his own grocery shopping and tended to the same garden he'd cared for since the 1980s. He told me something gently, almost as a confession. He said, "Sometimes, I don't want to waste the leftover wine from the night before. I'll sip it around 10 a.m. while I read the news. Helps me feel settled." And I understood. There's grief behind those habits. There's loneliness. There's the simple desire for comfort. But here's the truth. Even small amounts of alcohol in the morning can pose a real, hidden danger, especially after age 60. Let's break it down gently, with respect to the body you've lived in for decades. Biologically speaking, alcohol is a depressant. At first, it relaxes your blood vessels and lowers your blood pressure. That's why people say it takes the edge off. But, and this is where it gets tricky, a few hours later, the body rebounds. Your nervous system kicks in to correct the drop. It pushes your heart to beat faster, raises your blood pressure, and tightens your vessels again. That rebound effect, it can trigger heart strain, blood vessel stress, and in some cases, increase clotting risk, especially after the alcohol wears off. Now imagine this happening at 10 a.m., when your body is still waking up. Your coordination isn't sharp. Your hydration is low. And your brain is just beginning to warm up. Suddenly, you're more vulnerable than you think. And remember, stroke risk isn't just about one big moment. It's often the result of small, daily stressors to your cardiovascular system. That one glass, that leftover wine. It might feel like relaxation, but it's a false calm. A temporary blanket covering a deeper, rising storm. And here's another myth I hear. It's just a small amount. It's not like I'm drinking heavily. But even small amounts of alcohol can impair morning coordination. Even mild impairment increases fall risk, and for seniors, falls can mean fractures, hospital stays, even long-term disability. So what's a healthier, more loving choice? Instead of sipping wine at 10 a.m., reach for something that truly nourishes your calm. Herbal teas are a beautiful substitute. Chamomile, lemon balm, ginger with honey. They gently ease your nervous system without the crash. And if what you're seeking isn't just a flavor, but a feeling, ask yourself what that wine is standing in for. Connection, comfort, stillness, because those things are important. And you deserve them, in ways that don't quietly harm your brain or your heart. This isn't about judgment. It's about safety. It's about protecting your independence, your clarity, your ability to live the life you still can live. And I want to remind you of something, right here and now. There's no shame in needing support. There's strength in changing habits, at any age. Now, as we move forward, let's take all of this knowledge, all of these drink choices and the risks we've explored, and pause for a moment. Because I want to speak directly to your heart next. Let's take a breath and step into a moment of reflection together. Because what you've just learned might feel like a lot, and that's okay. Coming up next is a part of this video I don't want you to miss. The emotional truth about aging and why small changes still matter more than you think. Let's go there, together. 6. Using sweetened creamers or artificial sweeteners. Let's talk about something that hides in plain sight and often wears a healthy label. Creamers. Sugar-free packets. That splash of sweetness we add to our morning coffee or tea. It seems harmless. Sometimes even helpful. And for many seniors trying to cut sugar, it feels like a smart switch. I remember a woman named Betty, 74 years old. Bright-eyed, thoughtful, and always smiling when she talked about her grandkids. She told me, "I gave up sugar 5 years ago. I use sugar-free creamer every day. Tastes great, and it says 0 calories." But then she handed me the bottle. And we read the ingredients together. Words like sucralose, acesulfame potassium, hydrogenated oil, artificial flavors. Betty paused. She looked up at me and said, "I can't even pronounce half of these." Exactly. Now here's what I want you to know, not with fear, but with honesty. These artificial ingredients may confuse your body. Let's break that down simply. When you taste something sweet, even if it's a fake sugar, your brain gets a signal. That signal says, "Sugar is coming." Your body responds by preparing insulin, by shifting metabolism, by anticipating energy. But when no actual sugar follows, the system gets confused. And over time, this confusion can cause insulin resistance, gut imbalance, and low-grade inflammation, all of which increase stroke risk, especially after age 60. And your gut? Well, it houses trillions of microbes that talk to your brain and immune system all day long. When we feed those microbes artificial sweeteners, it can disrupt the balance, weakening the protective barrier in your gut and triggering, again, inflammation. That's a lot from just one little creamer, isn't it? Now here's the myth. If it's sugar-free, it must be healthy. But sugar-free doesn't mean safe. It just means the sweet part came from a lab, not a plant. So what can you do instead? You don't have to give up flavor. You just have to return to simplicity. A splash of real milk, or unsweetened almond, oat, or cashew milk. A pinch of cinnamon for warmth. A drop of pure vanilla extract for richness. Even a teaspoon of real honey, if your blood sugar is well managed, can be safer than long-term fake sugars. You see, it's not about perfection. It's about clarity. Knowing what's in your cup. And making a decision your future self will thank you for. And now, as we approach our final insight, I want to share something so simple, so overlooked, and yet so powerful. A drink habit that doesn't cost money, doesn't need labels, and can truly support a healthy brain day after day. Let's take a gentle breath and step into our final step together. Because this last habit could be the anchor your morning routine needs. Shall we? 7. Forgetting to balance electrolytes. You know, one of the most overlooked morning mistakes is forgetting the balance part of hydration. Let me tell you about John. He's 78. Lives a quiet, simple life, morning newspaper, same chair by the window, blood pressure pills by the sink. But every morning, he started to feel off. Light-headed. A little dizzy when he stood up. His energy just wasn't there. At first, he thought maybe it was just aging. But when we looked closer, we saw the real issue. His electrolytes were out of sync. Now, here's the thing. When you drink water, especially if you're taking certain medications like diuretics or blood pressure pills, your body might be flushing out not just water, but also sodium, potassium, and magnesium. These are tiny minerals, but they play a huge role in how your blood vessels squeeze and relax, how your brain cells fire, even how your heart beats. And as we age, we become more sensitive to even small shifts. Add in a little morning coffee, maybe some sweating from a walk, and suddenly, that dizziness? That foggy feeling? It's not random. It's a signal. But there's a myth here. Water is always enough. Not always. Especially for seniors, water without electrolytes can actually dilute your system. And that can lead to confusion, low energy, and yes, even a greater stroke risk. So here's a gentle fix. Try adding a small pinch of sea salt to a glass of warm water in the morning, just enough to taste, not overwhelm. Or sip on natural coconut water, nature's electrolyte drink. Even better, talk to your doctor about whether you need a bit more potassium or magnesium in your diet. Sometimes just adding a banana or a handful of leafy greens can help restore balance. These are tiny changes, but they send your body a powerful message. I'm listening. I care. And that kind of care, especially first thing in the morning, can be the difference between a risky day and a strong one. Now, in just a moment, we're going to shift into something a little deeper, because I know some of these habits hit close to home. We'll talk about the emotions behind aging, the fears, the guilt, even the quiet grief that comes when the body starts changing. But also the hope. Because aging doesn't mean giving up. It means learning how to care, smarter, softer, and with more kindness than ever before. Let's talk about that together. No. Let's pause for a moment and take a breath together. Because if you've been listening closely, you might be feeling a mix of emotions right now. Maybe a little worry. Maybe even guilt. Maybe you're realizing you've been doing some of these things for years. And if that's you, let me say this from one human heart to another. It's okay. Because aging, it's not easy. Your body changes. Your mind changes. And sometimes you look in the mirror and think, this isn't the me I remember. You notice your blood pressure creeping up. You feel unsteady when you stand too fast. Maybe you can't find the right word as quickly as you used to. And it can feel like your body is betraying you. But I want you to hear this. It's not betrayal. It's not failure. It's simply change. And your body, your brain, isn't giving up. It's just asking for more care than before. That's not a weakness. That's wisdom. That's your inner signal saying, I've carried you this far. Help me carry you the rest of the way. You are not broken. You are not too late. You are not powerless. Every sip you take, every morning choice you make, is a quiet act of protection, of strength, of hope. And if you're a caregiver, whether it's your spouse, your parent, your grandparent, I want you to know, these tiny habits matter more than you think. A glass of water. A real breakfast. A gentle swap for a creamer or juice. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be intentional. You are building safety, day by day. And your love, your effort, even when no one sees it, is shaping someone's future. So whether you're 65 or 85, whether you're a patient or a caregiver, please remember, your mornings are powerful, and your brain is listening. Let's gently recap what we've learned today. We talked about 7 common morning drink mistakes that could quietly increase stroke risk after 60. Sugary fruit juices that spike blood sugar. Skipping water when your body is most dehydrated. Coffee on an empty stomach, overstimulating your system. Energy drinks with dangerous stimulant loads. Morning alcohol, like leftover wine. Artificial sweeteners and creamers that confuse your brain and gut. And how small, thoughtless habits, even well-meaning ones, can carry long-term consequences. But we also talked about simple swaps. Whole fruit instead of juice. Water before coffee. A light breakfast with your caffeine. A calming herbal tea instead of alcohol. And a touch of cinnamon or real milk instead of chemical-laced creamers. These are not just diet tips. They are acts of brain care. So I'd love to hear from you. Which one of these surprised you the most? Or, do you see any of these in your current morning routine? Tell us in the comments below. Because your story might help someone else feel less alone. And if this video helped you, if it sparked even one small shift, tap that like button and consider subscribing to Senior Healing. This space was created for you. For older adults and for caregivers who want clear, compassionate, science-backed answers. Without the noise, fear, or judgment. Next week, we're diving into a topic I know you'll love. One simple bedtime habit that improves memory and sleep, naturally. It's gentle, it's easy, and it could change your nights for the better. Until then, be kind to yourself. Sip slow, breathe deep, and remember, your brain deserves peace, and you are worthy of care. Take good care. I'll see you soon.